Welcome to Equal Entertainment. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. This year's Pride celebration in New York will be headlined by pop music icon Christina Aguilera. Aguilera will headline Pride Live at Hudson Yards for Stonewall Day. The star shared in a press release that the community has supported her throughout her career and that she loves advocating for LGBTQ+ rights. Pride Live is a social advocacy and community engagement organization that works with the LGBTQ+ community. The benefit concert is on June 23rd. Stonewall Day is a national day of awareness to remember the anniversary of the 1969 Stonewall riots. Another artist is using his platform to speak out for trans rights. Rising star Jakk Fynn is a trans musician from Los Angeles. His new single, Take My Heart, focuses on society's fixation with bodies and identity. I had the pleasure of speaking to Jakk about embracing his identity through music and providing visibility and inspiration for others. Well, I just want to begin very simply and ask you to talk a little bit about your background with music and where you've come from and where you're headed with your music.
Yeah, I've been making music for a long time, ever since I was a kid. I think that's like most musicians' stories' starting point. I actually, though, really didn't get to learn a lot of stuff formally. My family wasn't really super encouraging of that, so I kind of was very scrappy with it. I ended up getting like a guitar when I was a kid and just like really being into pop punk and stuff. And so I actually started out in bands and stuff first, which was really fun. But I eventually kind of ended up on the solo pop. I love all kinds of music, so I ended up kind of in the solo pop realm because I got to say what I want without necessarily having to negotiate with a bunch of other people, which I love collaboration. Don't get me wrong. I'm not difficult to collaborate with, but I think just like with my identity and stuff, it felt like important that I was able to really drive the narrative for myself. So that's kind of where I'm at today. But I love pop. I mean, how can you be queer and not love pop? No offense to the queers that don't love pop, but
No, agreed. Well, I wonder, would you go a little bit further into that and what it's been like for you to kind of embrace your identity in this way where you are controlling the narrative around it in your music?
Yeah, so I think before, the other thing is when I was in bands and stuff, I wasn't, I was out like as gay, even though I identify as trans and straight. So that was a bit of a doozy for my brain when I was younger. But I was out as gay and I was like maybe not as assured of myself. And I was in one band where I was out as trans and, they were all lovely and supportive and stuff. But I noticed that a lot of the types of interactions we were getting, sometimes it would be like younger trans kids. And, I know I started to realize that that's going to be hard for them to navigate or to talk to people or to know the right thing to say, or even maybe, accidentally say something that wasn't very informed. And so, not just artistically, but even just like as I communicate to people, it became very important for me to be able to do so in a way that I thought was like going to be the most thoughtful, effective, and just helpful for others. So,
yeah. Great. Well, thank you for that. And you have a new single out, Take My Heart, and there's a video for it. And it's pretty incredible. And one thing that is wonderful about it is this idea of gender fluidity that occurs in the video. And would you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was growing up, I definitely was very, I grew up like a lot of people, in the binary and getting stuck into all these gender roles and stuff. But, my family was Christian, like, immigrants from Mexico. So they were definitely pretty rigid. And there was just this heavy expectation of me to present as, super feminine, to, go get a great husband that was going to be able to support me and, have the kids and, the whole thing. And that was very suffocating for me. And, and I'm sure it is for a lot of people, even people that aren't trans. And I think that, when I started to find my identity as a trans person and felt comfortable enough to come out, I still was stuck in this rigidity. And so even though I had super pushed away everything that I was being told to do, I was still kind of drawn to maybe what I had seen the men in my life do. And, not that took every single bad thing that they do and internalized it. But, just ideas in my head of like, oh, you have to be tough, or you have to like dress a certain way, or that like, I don't know, you're supposed to open the door and provide. Like I used to open the door all the time, like the car door for everyone I dated. Now, sometimes I probably should do that once in a while as a nice gesture, but it was just very like, I have to be this like type of man. And so I think as I've gone further on my trans journey of being like out and comfortable, it's been like six years, maybe more at this point. And I don't feel like I'm as, it's not as much of a tug and pull. And I honestly think that, again, as you're saying, like there is a lot of fluidity. Like I don't think there's one, specific way you're supposed to present, and I think that's totally actually unnatural for humans and the way we should be emoting and expressing ourselves uniquely. And so I think with this video, it was the first time where I actually got to kind of like put maybe money where my mouth is because I still had never really like up until that point I hadn't worn like any dresses since like high school or something. And I don't tend to wear a lot of makeup, although I've been doing more for like shoots and stuff like that. And I felt like in that moment, even though I was making this like kind of statement in this commentary, I actually had a really full circle moment kind of experience there too, which was really special to me and which made the video like that much more meaningful and important. And I remember like, because to me, it feels like I'm in drag, right? I'm like dressed up all in a wedding gown and I have all this makeup and stuff. And I was actually like, wow, I look pretty. And like, this is cool. Like, I actually feel just fine. Like, and before I would have been like tortured, right? And so I think that it really just comes to show like my journey, but also hopefully like can encourage other people that like if you're living in these extremes, like obviously it may not be overnight where like all of a sudden you just start doing another thing, but like to be able to give yourself like permission to try different things, or if you ran away from a certain thing because of what it represented in your life at a certain time, if you're feeling more sure of yourself, like you can revisit these things. Like they don't have to be scary and spooky or like oppressive, or you can reclaim them, I guess. And that's kind of where I landed. And, hopefully some people will see this and maybe feel a little bit inspired to think of things, a little bit more fluidly. I think a lot of people in the queer community do that, but there's always room for more, and hopefully non-queer people out there will see this and be like, huh.
Right. Well, you are kind of blazing a trail in certain ways for trans masculine folks in music. You're one of not many trans masculine people in music. And would you talk a little bit about what it means to you when, you have fans for whom you make them feel seen and they share that with you?
Yeah. I honestly so making music is very hard, as you know, or like maybe not making the music part, but trying to make something of yourself in music and to build that fan base, to build, the numbers or whatever that are appealing to people that are going to invest in you. Like that takes a really large, like emotional toll, and not just on, as a queer artist, just on all artists, right? It really makes you question, why am I doing this? Should I continue? Should I stop? And it's like kind of a never ending negotiation that you're having with yourself frequently. And it's moments like that where like I play a show and I see people come up to me and, whether they're timid and shy and like can barely say anything, but like you can see that it's made an impact, or they're really chatty and talkative and they want to talk a lot because they're like, oh, I see myself in you, I relate, and I want to have an experience. And honestly, those are the things, like I'm going to get emotional now, like those are the things that make it like worth it for me. And so I don't think that I'm like, very far in my career in the sense that like I'm essentially a nobody in music, but like being able to like, well, in my mind, right, you see like the people that are making like the Hot 100 or that have like, 1 million monthly listeners, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not there. But like when I have these experiences, it like takes that like nobody feeling away, right?
Thank you so much to Jakk for stopping by. He's an incredible artist, and his visibility is so important for uplifting queer artists. You can visit us on the Advocate Channel YouTube page for more full interviews and Hollywood headlines. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. Thank you for watching.